有绿色阵线，还有跟台大法学院，还有跟很多朋友、很多团体，包括竹联盟消费者社，包括梧桐基金会，然后包括农村阵线，然后我们今天合办了这场论坛。然后这场论坛呢，我们邀请到来自英国的舒马赫学院创办人 Satish Kumar， 还有泰国米之神 Daycha， 那还有彭明老师。那这一场活动呢，事实上呢是台大法律学院不是法学院哦，台大法律学院谢明阳院长给我们非常鼎力的支持，然后呢叶进龙老师也会全力来主持这场活动。那我们现在是不是掌声来欢迎谢明阳院长为我们讲几句话？
好，这个敬爱的Satish Kumar 校长，还有各位来宾，大家好，非常高兴今天能够在这里举办这样子的一个活动，非常高兴今天能够在台大法律学院举办这个论坛。那大家也都知道，库马校长呢，他是全球知名的这个和平跟环保的运动的这个推行者。那这个和平跟环保里头，特别是反核他过去这个徒步走了8000英里的这个路去拜访很多的国家那这个呢宣达他的反核的理念。那不管是反核或者是和平，都是目前台湾最迫切需要的特别是现在在立法院这个如火如荼的在进行当中那库马校长呢，他也去了立法院，也去看了。那对于这个星期天这个所发生的驱离学生所造成的流血的事件其实我们觉得非常的遗憾这个政府呢并没有坚持和平的理念居然呢用武力呢用暴力呢来对待我们手无寸铁的学生因此我们今天非常高兴库马校长呢能够把这个和平跟反核的这个理念带到台湾来。那我相信未来的台湾呢一定会变得更好。谢谢。那我们我把这个棒子呢交给我们的主持人叶俊荣叶教授。那叶教授呢是我们院内非常杰出的教授，他目前主持院内的环境永续政策与法律研究中心，那专注于环境永续发展的议题的研究，而且有很多跨国的研究那这些呢其实都是扎根的工作那我们叶教授呢花了非常多的这个心力，那也因为他在这方面的努力，他的学术的研究成果斐然因此呢他最近也被台大的讲座教授那我们今天非常荣幸能够邀请他来作为这个论坛的主持人。那我们是不是以热烈的掌声，我们欢迎叶教授。
Thank you very much, Daycha, my boss. Let me begin by thanking Green Formosa Front, Wu Dongjie 老师 and lots of individuals who has been able to put this together. This is a great event. We are going to talk about lots of issues relevant to Taiwan and beyond in many ways. We are so proud to have Mr. Satish Kumar with us. And also we have two very prominent discussants, one from Taiwan Minzisan, Mr. Daycha, and also very famous professor here, Professor Peng Minghui with us as discussant. Let me begin by saying a little bit about Satish. You, of course, lots of us know you by many ways. Because you cover a wide array of issues and concerns. You know, to begin with, as our dean mentioned, peace. I mean, that was phenomenal. I mean, you began with a way to push forward peace by walking into so many continents and dealing with those major nuclear powers, and that was phenomenal to us. And the issue is still here, and I think that has lots of Taiwan relevance. Not only that, you know, you are an educator, you know, sort of holistic education and humanitarian, and also you like to link, you know, human into the nature. It's not only about humanity, but also the way to deal with the nature. So I certainly would say that you are cross-border, cross-gender, cross-generation, and also cross-planet, maybe. So you cover a wide array of issues, and I think that's pretty good for us. But we began with the land and the earth and the soil. And then we have, you know, the environment, and we have people around, and we have human dignity. But again, it's a way to show humble, you know, way of dealing with the nature, how to make our life simple, how to make it a better world in terms of sustainability. And I think today we are going to learn from Satish Kumar a lot. So let me begin by inviting Satish to give a presentation, and then will be followed by two discussions. Please join me by giving me big hands for Kumar.
Thank you very much for your welcome and your wonderful introduction. And what a wonderful audience. Many young faces. This is my first visit to your beautiful island, Taiwan. It is small and beautiful. And therefore, small is beautiful. One of my great friend, he was called E.F. Schumacher. He wrote a book called Small is Beautiful. And we named our college in England called Schumacher College. Schumacher was invited and then sent to Burma, Myanmar, by the United Nations to advise the government of Burma about economic development. Schumacher was an economist, and then he arrived in Burma, and after about 6 months, he met many Buddhist monks and met many Burmese scholars and citizens and farmers and craftsmen and artists and cultural people. And he realized that the answer for Burmese development is already in Burma. They don't need to bring Western economists like himself to advise them. And he said that you have an economics. You don't know name of this economics, but I give you the name. And the name is Buddhist economics. And then he wrote this essay for the United Nations. And there were many great economists in England who read this paper. And this title, Buddhist economics, and this is now a chapter in the book, Small is Beautiful. and I think this book is translated into Chinese, so you can read it. There's a chapter called Buddhist Economics. And John Maynard Keynes, who was one of the great economists of Britain at that time, he said, and he was friend of E.F. Schumacher, he said, Mr. Schumacher, what Buddhism has to do with economics? And so Schumacher reminded him that economics requires spiritual, moral, ethical, ecological values. And the spiritual, moral, ethical, and ecological values are all enshrined in Buddhism. So he was not a Buddhist. He was a Western economist from Oxford and a German son of an ambassador. But he realized, coming to Burma, and therefore coming to any Buddhist country. Now, what is the meaning of economics? He explained in this book. What is the meaning of economics? At this moment, we think economics means GDP. Economics means money supply. Economics means production of manufactured goods. That is not the meaning of economics. Actually, I was invited to speak at the London School of Economics, LSE, a very famous university in London. And when I went there, I asked my professor who was going to chair the meeting, I said, Professor, can you show me your department for ecology? He said, Mr. Kumar, what do you mean? We don't have department for ecology. I said, Professor, if you teach economy without teaching ecology, you are teaching only half the subject. What do you mean? And then I spoke to nearly like this audience, 200 people in the audience. I said, I want to explain. I want to explain that ecology and economy, these two words come from Greek language, and ecos means ecos. Eco word ecos. The Greek word ecos. Ecos means home, house, home. Now, in the wisdom of the Greek philosophers, the entire planet is our home, the earth home. And knowledge of that home, logic, the word logic comes from logi, theology, sociology, psychology, all this logi word means knowledge. So psychology means knowledge of the soul. Theology means knowledge of God. Anthropology means knowledge of human history. So logi means knowledge. So ecology means knowledge of home, planet home. How all the species fit together. How all the species can live in harmony together. How all the species are interdependent, interrelated, interconnected. We are all made of each other. That is the knowledge of the planet home. And that is called ecology. And then word economy, nomos, ecos means home again, and then nomos means management. So management of our planet home, the entire planet home is economy. Now you are teaching economy, meaning you are teaching management. Please tell me, how are you going to manage something which you don't know? Can you manage something which you don't know? So you are teaching your graduates from all over the world. They come here and they learn about economy without learning about ecology. So they know something they have to manage, but they don't know what to manage. This is half knowledge, half educated. And half educated is worse than uneducated. If you have a rice, you are cooking rice, and you have half cooked rice, what will you do with it? You eat it, you get indigestion. So you have to cook the rice properly. So you are sending these graduates from your university, half educated, to manage the economy, but they don't know what they are managing. And therefore, world economy is in a crisis. Who is responsible for this? LSE. You are sending these half-educated graduates to manage something which they don't know, and therefore they are making a mess. Also, I said further, I said that economy means management of home. What is our home? Planet home. What is planet home? Just not money, not just banks, not just factories, not just computers and televisions, not just cars and aeroplanes. It also has forests, it also has rivers, it also has mountains, it also has land and animals and the soil. And if you don't know anything about forest, you don't know anything about rivers, you don't know anything about climate, you don't know anything about soil, you don't know anything about animals, and you say, I'm an economist. How can you be an economist if you are going to manage your home, and if you're in your home, you know where the money is, where your bank account is, your checkbook is, but you don't know where your water supply is in your house. You don't know how the air is fresh or not. You don't know all the other rooms, what you have. Your wardrobe, you don't know where your wardrobe is. You don't know your parents. You don't know your father, mother, husband, wife, children, brothers, sisters. You don't know anything. You just know about money of the house. Is that the management of the house? So our economists, our government leaders, our politicians, our business leaders, our industrialists have all misunderstood and distorted the meaning of the word economy. They think economy. Now I hear President Ma saying that this treaty, trade treaty with China will be good for the economy. I want to ask Mr. President, do you understand the meaning of word economy? Do you understand? And so Taiwan is a small island, and the economy of Taiwan is economy of all people, all land, all climate, all soil, agriculture, crafts, arts, religion, culture, music, dance, painting, museums. All these things are part of Taiwanese economy. Taiwanese economy is not just make more computers, more cars, sell it to China, import something from China, and that's the economy. That's only a 10%, small percentage of the economy. So small is beautiful is to understand. That book explains to you the Buddhist economics. That should explain to you that how our economy should be inclusive, holistic, interrelated, wholeness. So like our body is an example of holistic place. Now, in our body, we have a brain, we have mind, we think, we have heart, we feel, we have hands, we make something, we have legs, we walk with our body. We have all the function in our body. But our educational system, if I can bring from economics to education, our educational system forgets our body. Does not, even our brain, the education is very much about brain education, head education. Brain has two hemispheres, the right brain and the left brain. The left brain is more logical, scientific, reason, analysis, experiment, explanation, observation. All that is part of rational left hemisphere of the brain. Then we also have a right hemisphere. The right hemisphere is intuition, feelings, even not only heart, but even our right hemisphere, we can have intuition. So all great scientists, before they discover, like Galileo, Newton, Darwin, James Lovelock, all these great scientists, Lynn Margulis, they have intuition first. And then based on that intuition, they experiment. And based on that experiment, they replicate. And then it becomes science, scientific theory. But before that, there's a right hemisphere of the brain, which is functioning with intuition. But our education does not deal with right brain. Mostly it's a left brain education. But then, never mind right brain, heart. our education does not deal with anything to do with feelings. Our education system does not do anything with relationship. Our education does not do anything about compassion, about kindness, about relationship, about respect, how we deal with each other. We don't talk about it much. That's left to the temples, or maybe you read Taoism, or Lao Tzu, or Buddha, or Jesus Christ, or somebody. There's nothing to do with education. How can you have education without heart in it? And then hands completely forgotten. In our educational system, we have no place, no university. I mean, you have this great university, one of the national big university of Taipei and Taiwan. But tell me, where is your craft? Where is your farm? Where is your agriculture? Where is your building? Are your students learning to use their hands? Are they making something? Are they experiencing life with their hands? Making makes you poet. As I explained to you, meaning of ecology and economy, and we don't understand. Same way we don't understand the word poet. We think somebody who can put a few words on a page becomes a poet. Yes, but that is a very small meaning of poet. The proper meaning of poet, which is a Latin word, poiesis. Poiesis means to make. Autopoiesis, meaning self-making. Great scientists, Maturana and Varela, they did a great theory about autopoiesis, self-making. Now, where is poiesis? Where is poetry? When you make something, we make a beautiful chair, you make a beautiful pot, you make some beautiful clothes, like this. This is made by hand. In China, in your country, it's a Chinese dress. This is handmade. People took pride and joy and pleasure in making something delightful, something beautiful. Nowadays, factory makes everything, mass-produced, and it comes into fashion. It's an autumn fashion or spring fashion, and you wear for 1 year and you throw it away. New fashion has come. We have lost the sense of poetry. This costume, handmade, hand-woven, and hand-designed, is a poetry. So poetry is to make. Potentially, we are all poets. Poets are not only those who are writing poetry books, but you are all poets if you make something. Making beautiful food makes you poet. Making beautiful garden. If you are a good gardener, you are a poet gardener. So whatever you make, how our universities do not touch anything to make. We don't teach our young people to make something. That is big has become dominant, machine-made, factory-made, made not only even made in Taiwan, but maybe made in Vietnam, or made in Bangladesh, or made in Morocco, or somewhere far away, and imported, because if you have money, you buy it. So we have lost the skills of making. We have lost the skills of feeling. We have lost the skills of intuition, and we have just become the slave of left hemisphere brain. And just science and analysis and machine. And this is, I think, moving us away from small is beautiful. Human body is small. Only I'm 5'6" or something like that. So the small body. But in this small body, there's a big mind. Universal mind, big heart. I can love the world. I can love the universe. I can think of all species in my brain. So we can have big mind, big heart, but small body. And with this small body, I can make. I can use my hands. This is why we started the small school in England. I started the small school to teach children not only to think, but also feel, and also make, and also walk. You mentioned that I walked 8,000 miles for peace. People say, I want to see the world. But Mr. Kumar, I don't have money. How can I go? I said, I went for 2.5 years, walking 8,000 miles from India to Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Russia, Moscow, Poland, Germany, Belgium, France, Paris. And then I took a boat. Even that was not, I had no money. Even that was paid by my supporters of peace in France. And I took a boat from Calais to Dover, to England. And then I walked from Dover to London. And then I met Bertrand Russell, who was a great peace maker, who was my inspiration to go for a walk on peace. And I have written a book about my walk and about my life, and that is called No Destination. And you will be pleased to know that that is now translated into Chinese and published almost today. And yeah, there it is. And so the story of my walk around the world is written in this story, and the story of my childhood. And so from England, Bertrand Russell, he helped me. He said, you have come from India without money. You reached here because no sea was in between apart from this small English channel. But now you want to go to America and there's a big Atlantic Ocean. You can't walk on water. Can I give you some money? I said, Lord Russell, we have not touched money for 2 years. We cannot take any money. But if you will help us with 2 tickets in a boat, we will be happy to receive it. And so he arranged 2 tickets in Queen Mary. And so we sailed across the Atlantic, and we arrived in New York and walked to Washington, D.C. And then we were invited by some Japanese Buddhists, and they covered the passage from America to Japan. And we walked from Tokyo to Hiroshima to make our pilgrimage to the first victim of atomic weapon. And then we traveled back to India. 2.5 years without a single penny, single dollar, single cent in my pocket. And people say, Mr. Kumar, I want to go around the world, but I don't have money. I say, you don't need money. You need your will and your desire, your heart, and your commitment, and your dedication, and your fearlessness, your trust. I had weapon of trust in my pocket and in my heart, and I trusted. And my friend, when I was standing on the border of India and Pakistan, one of my friends came. Many people came to say goodbye, but one of my dear friends came and said, Satish, you have decided to go without money? This is a crazy idea. And you are going to Pakistan, first country? Pakistan is our enemy country. We had 3 wars between India and Pakistan over Kashmir. And you are going there without food, without water, without money, and walking. No security. At least you should take some food with you. I have brought some packets of nice, delicious, good-smelling food. I could smell it. A nice smell. And I thought for a minute. And then I said, my friend, I cannot take food with me. These packets of food are not packets of food. They are packets of mistrust. What am I going to say to Pakistanis and other countries' people? That I did not trust you. Therefore, I have brought my own food with me all the way from India. That is not peace. Peace begins in trust. Wars begin in fear. If you have fear of others, then you fight. But when you have trust, there is no need to fight. And so I am going for peace. And peace is not only to talk about peace, but be peace. As Mahatma Gandhi said, you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And so I want to be peace and trust people. And so my friend was very worried. And suddenly I saw tears from her eyes. And I said, my friend, why are you crying? Give me your blessing. Give me your hug. Why are you crying? She said, Satish, I don't know if I will ever see you again. This might be our last meeting. You are going to Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries, deserts, mountains, snow, rain, forest, no money, no food, walking. How are you going to survive? That was fear. I said, my friend, if I'm walking and I don't get any food, that I will say that is my opportunity to fast. Good opportunity to fast. I'm not complaining. And if I don't get shelter to sleep, I'll sleep under the stars. A 1,000,000-star hotel. Who cares for 5-star hotel? And if I am killed, then I will say, best way to die is to die working and walking for peace. What a good way to give your life for something. So from today, I have no fear of hunger. I have no fear of homelessness. And I have no fear of death. Death is good. What is wrong with death? We will all die one day. Living in fear of death, even though we know that certainly that we are going to die, what's a fear? When death comes, welcome. As long as I live good life. Life with pleasure, with delight, with joy, with friendship, with love, with beautiful wife. And you can live with beautiful boyfriend, girlfriend, beautiful children, beautiful garden. Live good life. But when death time comes, welcome it. And so that is how I walked around the world. That is, for me, that is the example of living small is beautiful life. And so I say that if we want to have a beautiful Taiwan, small and beautiful, maintain this culture, this quality of your life, your tradition, your land, your animals, your rivers, your hills, beautiful mountains that you have, protect them. That is your responsibility. We think about human rights, but we have to also think about rights of the earth, rights of nature, rights of our mountains. Nobody should be allowed to destroy the mountains and the forests. Nobody should be allowed to build on our agricultural land. Soil is so important. Ivan Illich, one of the great thinkers and writers, said, we don't stand on the earth, we stand on the soil. When I went to Ilan, and you will hear from Mr. Daycha and Jen a little later on, I said that Taiwan is a small island. Therefore, now you have enough buildings, enough shopping malls, enough hotels, enough roads, enough airports. Say now on, for sustainability's sake, for the sake of the environment, for the sake of our food and future and sustainability and future generations, no more new buildings. Moratorium on all agricultural land or for buildings. So agricultural land should be protected. And I said one thing more. I said that farmers should invite people from the cities to spend weekends on the farm, working. If you want good health, it says common sense. If you want good health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, go out in nature. Nature is the source of all medicine. Nature is the true medicine. Go out in nature. Breathe the fresh air. Go out of Taipei and breathe the fresh air of the valley, the basin of Yilan and those farms that I visited. And work on the land. Touch the soil. Work with the farmers. And volunteer. Don't ask for any wage. Be grateful to the farmers that they are giving you opportunity to touch the soil and work on the land. And then maybe farmers will be very kind, and in return for their gratitude, they will give you some fresh rice or fresh vegetables or fresh fruit, and that you can bring to the city. That is the way to bring sustainability and our connection with nature. We have forgotten nature. We think nature is just superfluous. We don't need nature. We need all these buildings. We don't need sunshine. We need this artificial light. We don't need fresh air. I'm sweating a little bit because there's no fresh air coming. So we have forgotten nature and we have sent nature into exile. Nature has been exiled and we have become so civilized, so urbanized, and we think the city and building, that is development. If you look at the land, like the farmland near Yilan, you look at the land, you say, this is not developed. This is undeveloped land. We call it undeveloped. And when you build an ugly building, a shopping mall or some ugly house, say, now it's a development. How we have corrupted our language. We have lost the meaning of economy. We have lost the meaning of development. We have lost the meaning of poetry. We have lost the meaning of language. And when you lose the language, you lose the meaning of the language. What is there to communicate? How we understand each other. And this is why our lives are becoming deprived of meaning. We have money, but we have no meaning. We have matter, but no meaning. So we need to put meaning into our life. And that is the message of E.F. Schumacher. That is the message of Buddhist economics. And that is the message of small is beautiful. And I think Taiwan is small, and it is beautiful, and keep it that way. Thank you very much.